All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. So glad that you made it. This is Lean In. This is where me and John, kind of take apart, kind of do a little Bible study. And John, we have finished already First John, and so we're working on Second John, and so number
Number
two.
two.
That'll be some good stuff. And of course, we asked the question last week, or what it was a couple of weeks ago, because of the holidays. We asked, hey, do y'all like this Bible study type thing? And
Right.
I only got positive feedback, as in they want us to keep doing it. So if so, we're gonna keep doing this.
Yeah, I'm pumped up. I heard great things, Justin. I mean,
Great
people were,
I
yeah, they
only heard
loved
good things, not great. It's just good.
it.
But it's fascinating. Of course, we have a schedule out where we will be able to finish Second and Third John, and then take a break for Christmas, and then come back after the New Year. So really excited to look at what kind of possible books of the Bible we'll be doing, and it'll be kind of fun times. But John, since our icebreaker, we normally go with food and everything. I thought this week, I figured maybe we don't do an icebreaker, because when you're starting a new book, there's so much background, and so I thought maybe we'd save this background for so we're not running overtime, on our time.
I'm good. I'm good with that, Justin.
Good with
You bring
that?
the heat around. Yeah.
Because honestly, as much as I ate for Thanksgiving, I just don't want to think about food right now. It's still weighing on me.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah. That's why I'm wearing very loose clothing. So, John, Second John, of course, the little research that I do to kind of prepare us for this. Most believe that it's still written by John. And again, when we say written by John, there were a lot of theologians believe that John didn't actually write it, but had a scribe as he transcribed what he was speaking. But a lot of theologians believe it's the same scribe that transcribed both First, Second, and Third John. So we're looking at John still eyewitness, disciple, probably the youngest of all the disciples. Was most likely a teenager when he was following Jesus. So
wow,
he's a young guy. And of course, what's interesting about Second John and Third John is First John is 5 chapters, but you have Second and Third John that are both 1 chapter in a sense. So I kind of did a little dive on that.
Just a letter almost. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of come to find out that a lot of theologians believe that it could fit on 1 papyrus sheet. So if that's any kind of consolation for you there. So and again, why is he writing it? It's pretty much the same reason as First John, is these guys called the cessationists, which believe that Jesus was a great guy, a good prophet, wonderful teacher, but they did not believe that he was the Son of God. And so you kind of had this arm coming out of the Christianity of these groups that said, hey, we believe in the teachings of Jesus, we just don't think he's Lord. And so John is combating this. And again, in First John, he's doing that in a lot of different phases. And here he just kind of continues to take the conversation. It's a little bit more succinct in nature, though. So did you get any kind of background that I didn't cover there, John?
No, I was looking up to see who it was, like what was the lady's, who is the person that he wrote it to, and it doesn't really know. It's kind of just a lady, and we'll get into that, and her children. And so that was kind of interesting. I was kind of hoping I would find a nugget of like who this person is. Did you stumble upon that, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 theories that I'll go with. But why don't we let you start us off so we can start talking about this elderly woman?
It says the elder to the lady chosen by God and to her children, whom I love in the truth, and not I only, but also all who know the truth, which lives in us and will be with us forever. Grace, mercy, and peace from God the Father and from Jesus Christ, the Father's Son, will be with us in truth and love.
Okay,
So
so the lady, who is this elder? The lady. Now, the term elder is an authority figure. It is an office in the early church, as it is in many churches. There is positions of eldership, and so uh, find this absolutely fascinating. So there's two different ways you can go with this. You can either interpret this as John is writing literally to a woman who's in charge of like maybe a gathering, an ecclesia, a church. She's in charge. You can call it a prophetess. You can call it, but she is an authority figure in this church. You can interpret it that way, or some have it interpreted as in, how the church is referred to as a woman in a sense. Right,
right.
right. So you could either interpret it as it's the church. He's talking to the church, and he's just using terminology as a woman, but he's not necessarily talking specifically as a woman. I tend to think it's more of a specific person because of the way he's talking. It doesn't, again, I'm limited in my understanding of the Greek, but
Yeah.
it really does seem like he's speaking more to an individual than he is to the church at large, even though you can apply it to the church at large. Now, this, it's going to be fun, right? For people to think about, you know, women leadership. And, if I could just give you my 2 cents, this is not a strange occurrence. Paul admonished an apostle, and that apostle's name is Junia in Romans 16, and Junia is a woman's name. So you had a woman apostle. Now there's some theory that it wasn't a woman apostle, but I mean there's a lot of good evidence that says it was a woman apostle. So because of that, I don't think there's anything out of the realm of possibility that this is a woman who is running this little ecclesia, this church. So
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Just. I do not lean towards it being the church and the people in the church. I lean towards it being a lady, a woman. Maybe she was leading that group, and I'm all for it. So I think that's awesome.
yeah. Now again,
You have highlighted right here in verse 2.
yeah, when you're talking about children, I think they were talking about the church in general. I mean, I don't think they were talking necessarily about this woman's children per se, but there was definitely so there's some cross metaphors, I guess. But I highlighted, the truth that lives in us and truth and love, and I just love those because he's basically saying this idea that the truth of God lives in us and it lives in us forever. And then I love verse 3 when he talks about truth and love. I mean, it kind of goes along similar themes that he did in the Gospel of John, where he says that when Christ came, he came full of grace and truth. And so John loves having these contrasting ideas of grace and truth. But here it's interesting because he uses the contrasting ideas of truth and love. So what was your thoughts? That's kind of like all I had out of the first 3 verses.
Yeah, you're breaking up pretty bad, Justin, but
Okay.
hopefully it clears up. But yeah, I didn't. There's not a lot different stuff to take from it. I think you kind of hit it on the head. I'm right there with you. So
Okay, yeah, it looks like my signal is pretty weak on this end, but I'm going to power through and see where we go.
we'll
So
go
I'm
for
gonna
it.
read 4 through 6. Here we go. It has given me great joy to find some of you some of your children walking in truth, just as the Father commanded us. And now, dear lady, I am not writing you as a new command, but as one that you've heard from the very beginning. I ask that we love one another, and this is love, that we walk in obedience to his commands. As you have heard from the beginning, his command is that you walk in love. John, help me out here.
Yeah, I like verse 4, Justin. I love what it says here. It says, "It has given me great joy to find some of your children walking in the truth, just as the Father commanded us." For some reason, this kind of stuck out to me, and the reason it did was I think um, in my life as a pastor, whenever you mentor people or you disciple people or you work with people and you speak truth to them, and then you might not be with them for a while, and then you come back and see them. Isn't it just give you it gives you joy, but it just does something in your heart when you're like, man, you're still going for it. Like, you're still growing, you're still doing what and you're pushing forward. I just think it's cool that he put that in there, because he's just you can tell that he's just encouraged. He's like, I was there. I got to be a part of that, and it gives me great joy to find some of your children walking in truth. I mean, that's got to just be kind of exciting and encouraging. He's obviously connected to this group of people, of followers, and so I just thought that must be really a really good feeling. And then verse 6, it says, "And this is love, that we walk in obedience to his commands." And so he's kind of, again, just like you said, it's very similar to that first letter, First John, where he's just reminding us about what this command is and what's going on and what it's all about, because it really is about love. And then he breaks it down. He he says that we walk in obedience. I mean, it's so important. You can't just want to do something. You have to walk in obedience, and you actually have to do it. And I think that is a big part of things that, just as humans, we get, man, we have we have a heart to do it. It's like, it's a thought that counts, but he's saying, I need you to walk in obedience to his commands. As you have heard from the beginning, his command is that you walk in love. And so he's just pointing towards love and everything that he's been taught from Jesus, that it's a new command. And he's reminding that this is what it's about. And it's not about anything else. It's not about any of these other people that maybe get mixed in or try to mix things up. That he's given them a great reminder from the get-go. What about you? What did you kind of pull out of those verses?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much saw the same. And I just love how he equates walking obedience with God and his commands is walking in love. So you're not going to be right with God if you're not walking in love towards others. So I don't care how much
Right.
you pray, I don't care how much you sing, how much you read the Bible. If you don't walk in love to your brothers and sisters, not just brothers and sisters, but anybody, if you're not walking in love towards them, then obviously you're not walking in obedience to his commands. So I love he's equating, he's contrasting. He says, walking in obedience to God is also walking in love towards others, which is
Yeah.
easier. It's easier to differentiate. Because if I'm walking in obedience to God, then yeah, I'm doing good. I can basically, fake my way to say, yeah, I'm in obedience. It's obvious if I'm walking in love towards others. I mean, it's just obvious.
Right.
The way, I towards them, the way I talk to them, the person that makes me mad, the way I respond to them. Yeah. Am I walking in love? And it's clearer. It's harder, but it's a lot clearer when you start to see what is it? The great question. What does love require? I mean, that's just
Yeah.
it basically is, it's all of it. What does love require? Answers a lot. And there's just no gray area in that. There really isn't.
There really isn't. And it puts everything, not everything, but in your life and your walk with Jesus, it puts it on you. You don't get to point at the other person and go, well, they're not walking in love, so I'm not going to. It's like, no,
Doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter what they're doing. You have your own relationship with God and what you're called to do. So
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, that's average, right? If you love someone that's lovable, you're batting average. But we're called to a lot more than that. And that is to love our enemies. And interesting enough, we're talking about that this week as we're starting the Christmas season. So that is an
I'm
interesting
excited about this
segue.
Christmas series.
We'd love to see everyone there, whether online or in person in church. But we'd love to see you um, as we start this Christmas series called "It's All Good." So, of course, we want to say what's going on to Sabrina. Hello, Sabrina, and of course, James. Man, good to see you, brother. And John, Heather. I guess it's John and Heather Baca.
John and Heather.
Awesome, awesome stuff. So yeah, John, this was good to get back into it, and we will do the second half of Second John, which would be 7 through 13. 7 through 13, and then we will then for the next two weeks talk about Third John. But so it'll be 7 through 13, and I'm excited to finish this thing off.
It's going to be great. Great stuff.
All right, my friend. We'll see everybody same time, 4 o'clock on Wednesday next week, which would be the 9th, I believe. Yep, the 9th. So see you then.